Hey everyone, Steve here with Class A Surfacing. So recently I was talking to a friend of mine that is learning NX. He's coming off of some of the CAD systems, and I was showing him the latest and greatest within NX, and specifically the Part Navigator came up. How do you navigate within the part? And I was showing him how I like to set up my tree. So I figured I'd make a video of how I like to set up my tree. Now you come over to the background of the Part Navigator and right mouse click, go into Properties. So for me personally, I like to use User Replaces System for Name, so that way it sort of cleans this up a bit. You'll see here this in a minute. I really like the feature checkbox action for hide, so instead of the suppress, the little green check mark for suppress and unsuppress, it's now hide. And pretty much everything else I leave as is. I've toyed around with different color for the parent children of the features and such, so something a little bit more drastic, but it isn't something that you want to do, maybe not necessarily. You can see down here it's a little easier to see what the parent children are. Now, excuse me. As far as the naming goes, you'll notice the name here is cleaned up a little bit. So if I right mouse click and I go into properties on that name and make a change to the name, let me do that, and I'm going to copy, paste, because there's the name and then the feature name for sketches, the element and then the name of the feature. And as you can see here, it's cleaned it up. If I revert back to using system and user, you'll see it's a much longer name because it's got the system name in there and then the username in there. And I personally like to truncate that a little bit. User replaces system. So that's what I use. You can see here also the datums. All the features are like that. The other aspect of this is if I have an item in the tree, and you know that if it's on a layer that's invisible, so if I look at my layer settings, go to View, go to Layer Settings, you'll notice that everything is basically set to invisible. All right, so everything is invisible. Now, we know that if I right mouse click on an element in the tree and say show, it makes that layer selectable. And it's the same thing for the little eye that you see here, the hide show within the navigator. So if I click on that, you'll notice the sketch now comes in and so on. And it also makes that layer that it's on selectable. So it does several things when you do the hide show in the tree, and that's why I'm a big fan of this. And the other one is the make current feature. And again, the way that I like to work is I like to keep a relatively tight tree, just like that, and these are my updates. So if I come in here and make a change, you'll notice the make current feature just pops it right in really quickly, and just like that, I'm navigating through my tree. Now, as far as the updates, if there were a big change that happened, let's say there's links or whatever, I can automatically have things update as mine is set currently, but I can also do my updates here in my navigator. You'll see a little red box that appears, and this little red check or green check mark shows me that everything is currently up to date, and if there's links and how the links are. So this is a very expressive column in the navigator, and I'm a big fan of it, so that's why I put it here. And basically the way I model has completely changed because of the newer functionalities that have been placed into the Part Navigator, specifically the hide show and make current feature. This has been here, but a lot of people aren't aware of it. I'm a big fan. Another nice thing about the tree is I think this was introduced in 11, NX 11, is the reference set node is now available. it shows you the reference sets that you create or were generated for the part. So we know the model reference set is automatically generated. This is what we see, what we're looking at the assembly level when we go to the model reference set, and we know this is automatically generated. So this is nice because you no longer have to go looking for a tool that's under the assembly node if you need to make a change. As you know, surfaces, everything, any kind of surface solid data is going to go into that reference set. So if you need to make a change, you just double click on the reference set there and it brings up the actual reference set tool. And again, this is the actual feature or the body. So if I double click on the body, you'll notice it takes me to the edit object display of that body. And if I want to, I can make changes here excuse me, to the display of that object. You know, you can right mouse click on it, hide show. You can move the object. You can assign a material here. So for those of you that just want to right mouse click on it and assign a material, and so on and so forth. You can move it to a layer. Maybe it's not on the right layer, whatever that may be. And any user-based reference set that you create here will show up in the tree. The empty and the entire part won't, because you can't modify those. But those won't, these will. And so this is basically how I have my part navigator set up. If I look under File, Utilities, and I go to Customer Defaults, just to show you where the reference set switches at, under Gateway, Part Navigator, and it's right over here, Display Reference Sets folder. Okay, so that's, you want to turn that on. I think for a lot of people by default it's turned off, but me personally, I like to turn that on, and I use the heck out of it. You can also change at the default level, or I apologize, the customer default level, the part navigator colors here if you want to, or just do it to the part that you're currently working in, and leave it at that. Again, it isn't something that I always do. If I'm doing something with a lot of heavy edits, I may change the color because it just makes it a little bit brighter, right? You can see kind of quickly what's going on here. Let's do this. It's sorted in the incorrect direction, so it inverted everything. But you can see the bodies. Everything's pretty quick and easy to suss out. And the other one that I do use a lot, and I'm very grateful for, is if I pick on a feature, right mouse click, and I go to Browse. This tool I do use. I'm finding more and more, quite considerably more. I put this on another monitor or off to the side, and this is great because it just allows me to quickly navigate basically the hierarchical structure of just that one feature. It's like the parent children in the tree, but now it's visualized here. So the edge blend is made out of this extrusion. You can see what the value is. You could you have the extrusion tells you exactly the parameters, the edge set, what the edge set is, where it comes from, all those kinds of things. So I really like this browser. So between the browser and the new features in the Part Navigator, I'm able to navigate really quickly and easily. Well, anyway, I hope that helps you out. For the new users, there's some really nice, useful things in there for the experienced users. Hopefully, it'll speed you up a bit. That's what I find makes my modeling experience go as quickly as possible. Anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you learned something. If you did, give me a like. Share with your friends. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so.